Okay. The session tonight is going to be recorded. It's turning on right as we speak. If you haven't noticed already, we are going to be having live captions tonight. You will be able to find the link to those live captions in our chat feature. The chat feature is at the top of your window. There should be a square text box with a few lines inside it. That is your chat feature. In there, Erica has posted the link to our live captioning tonight. You will be able to access it there while we're having our meeting. From there, there are also many different sort of views that you can have for your screen. Because there are lots of people here, Google Meet does have the group or sort of grid view. But because mainly there will be one person speaking at a time, I actually suggest you change your view to what's called Spotlight in Google Meet. So if you look at your screen, the bottom right corner, there should be 3 vertical dots. You can click on the vertical dots, click Change Layout, and then click Spotlight. That will highlight or show the video of the person who's talking at the moment, and it will switch back and forth for you as different people talk. There are a few other options as well. There's sidebar, there's tile. Choose whichever you feel more comfortable with, but Spotlight will allow you to always find the person who's speaking. Along with that, I already told you where the chat box is, but since we are mainly doing an event where one person is speaking at a time, we ask that you keep your microphone muted if you are not the person talking. You can find the mute button for your microphone also at the bottom of the screen. You'll see 3 circles in the center at the bottom. The one on the left is a microphone. If you click it and it turns red, that means you're muted. If you'd like to speak, you can click that and unmute yourself. There will be a chance for you to ask questions of Eleanor, of anybody here. If you ever feel the need to do so, just unmute yourself. Let us know who is talking before you start talking so everybody's aware, and then ask your question. When you're done, mute yourself again and we'll be good to go. If at any point during this meeting your sound goes out, the chat stops working, something starts acting a little glitchy, go ahead and exit the meeting and join back in. I'll let you back in if that's the case. That seemed to work last time we had one of these events, so you can try that. At the end of this meeting, once we're done, I am recording it like I mentioned. The chat or the captions that are being written and recorded right now will also be available, as will a list of all the the resources that we provide in the chat or that we talk about tonight. So if you would like to have access to those afterwards, you can. Erica is going to put a link to sign up for Arizona AG Bell's listserv, our email list. You can click that and sign up for our emails. You can also find those links in Facebook. Erica just posted the link itself in our chat. Again, our chat is if you go to the top of the screen, there is a square sort of text box, and that's where the chat is. If you would like to chat at all, like I said, you can unmute yourself and ask questions. You can also feel free to just put the chat down in the chat box, whichever makes you feel most comfortable. Once again, for those who maybe weren't here at the beginning, we do have captions, a link to live captioning in that chat box as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce our speaker tonight. Her name is Eleanor Beerbower. Eleanor, go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know a little bit about you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Eleanor Beerbower, like Stephanie said, and first off, I'm a little nervous because I've never done a virtual presentation ever, so bear with me with sharing screen and things like that. I have been a teacher at Desert Voices in Phoenix, Arizona for the last 8.5 years, and it's a school for children who are deaf and hard of hearing, who wear cochlear implants or hearing aids. I also just finished graduate school, at Utah State University, where I received my Master's of Education in Communicative Disorders and Deaf Education, with a focus on listening and spoken language. I made it through 2 years of full-time teaching and graduate school, and it's done, and I get to share this project with you, which I'm super excited about. Why we're here is because I'm going to share my thesis project from graduate school. It's a listening and spoken language resource notebook for parents, and it's called Talking About Summer. It has information about how parents can continue supporting their child's skills and development over the summer, and how to do this in everyday activities and routines. It's also a place for families to create a summer journal full of pages that tell the story of their child's summer. Lastly, it's a notebook the notebook contains examples of journal pages from real-life children created by their parents. You'll see that these contain pictures of routines, activities, and other experiences that families participated in, and then also parents' reflections on those activities. Please let me know if you have any specific questions about the notebook. You can either type them in chat or turn on your microphone and ask anytime during my presentation. Let's see. We're also here. So first off, my notebook, talking about summer. We're also here to learn from each other about other resources that are out there for parents who are continuing to have their children at home over the summer. I encourage and I hope that you all will share your wonderful ideas and resource suggestions. After I talk about the notebook, I'll open it up to everyone to share, and you can do this in chat, through video, whichever you're comfortable with. So what sparked my project? As a teacher, I found that parents are often seeking ideas for different ways to continue their child's progress and learning over the summer. And when I started graduate school, I found out I had to do a thesis. So there you go. I put them together. It's a perfect opportunity to create something useful for families and fellow teachers that also would work as my thesis. I originally created this notebook for teachers to introduce through parent coaching during the school year. There's different components of the notebook, so it's kind of picturing each time a family came in for parent coaching that the teacher would be able to show them the page, and then they would get to practice, and so it wouldn't be the surprise notebook at the end of the school year. Well, COVID showed up, and now you're all getting a crash course. So you'll find that the notebook will be somewhere that it gives guidance. You can look back at it if you have questions. And it has a component to create a journal with your child. And then also on the subject of teaching from home. So as a teacher for 8.5 years, I've known that parents need to be involved with their child's learning. And I've done it some. But since we moved to virtual teaching and virtual parent coaching, I have seen the absolute crucial need of parents being able to both identify and celebrate their strengths and all the incredible things they're already doing at home, as well as learning more about where they can embed listening and spoken language strategies, listening tasks, rich vocabulary, and even academics into their daily lives. And while reflecting on this, I feel that I couldn't have completed this Talking About Summer notebook at any more important and necessary time, with these families going from school at home to summer at home. Now I'm going to share the screen with you to show you my notebook. So let me see how this goes. Okay, you all can see it. So you will find, we'll send you the link for this notebook in both English and Spanish. Here it is, Talking About Summer. Props to my brother for the witty title. Since you will all have access to the notebook, I'm not going to go into too much detail about every page, but I'm going to show you what's included. You'll see some information written to teachers really, but parents, you're the teachers, about how to print the notebook, put it together, what it's useful for. And then you'll see some information about me. And then the page 1, that it has a number, page 1 at the top. This is probably where you'll start printing the notebook if you're going to print it out, which I recommend that you do. So this is the beginning of the summer notebook. And it has a little index and then a how-to page. This shows that there's informational pages, putting it together, and then just some special things that might help make it a real treasure for you and your family and your child. Keeping it in a special spot, working together, making it fun. And then we get to the informational pages. Here, you'll see information on listening and spoken language strategies. These are things like auditory first, auditory sandwich, wait time, strategies that create opportunities and support your child and using their listening skills in their and speaking. And we have information, about vocabulary, different groups of words, different, we often find that we are sticking to the same words maybe. And so this just helps give more information about expanding those words. And then also identifying some maybe go-to phrases that your child uses for everything. Like maybe they use the word drink for the words water, cup, pour, drink. They use it in all different ways. So it just gives some more information about expanding vocabulary. There's also information about listening skills, specifically focused on listening to sounds, parents or people pointing out sounds and, did you hear that? And then also later developing listening skills, including things like 1- and 2-step directions. And you'll find some early academics, including math and emergent literacy. Now, I want to make sure to point out that this notebook does not include every strategy and skill area that can be worked on with a child who is deaf or hard of hearing. You may find that you want to add your own informational pages to the notebook. It's your notebook. It's your child's notebook. So work to make it yours. I would suggest printing out each page on only one side. That way you can put them into sheet protectors and into a 3-ring binder. If they're one-sided, you're able to add information to really make it your family's notebook. For example, one of my families has been working on the listening and spoken language strategy called Sabotage to help create more language opportunities for the child to talk. And so what I would suggest for them, go to Word or Google Documents, type Sabotage, type a few notes from parent coaching and maybe some different places the parents have been trying to use it, print that out and then put it in a sheet protector right behind the listening and spoken language page. All right, next stop, bringing it all together. This is where we'll bring all of those informational pages together in real life activities with your child. These different pages show life routines and events that you and your child might encounter, and each gives detailed examples of how you can use the information in the notebook to enrich the activities. I'm going to go down. You'll see these are all really typical things that your child might encounter, maybe other than going to the grocery store right now. So we'll go down and see. Let's go to pool and water play. You'll find that there's information about different ways to embed listening and spoken language strategies in water play, academics in water play. You'll find different vocabulary ideas that can be useful during water play. And also other, and listening skills ideas, including pointing out different sounds, giving 1 or 2 step directions, and also language ideas. So here it goes into, it can be in the bathtub. You don't need to have a swimming pool to engage in water play. You'll also see we have information about books, technology, going to bed. Every kid goes to bed. Being in the car. And all of these are just typical kid things that you can really work hard to use the information to enrich these activities. The next stop in talking about summer is how to create your summer journal. So this is where you and your child get to take the activities and create a story with it. So this just gives some information about how to include your child in the experience of creating. They're essentially experience stories, creating experience stories of your child's activities. And then you'll see this is the front page, cover page of your child's summer journal. Let your child write their name. It's okay if they don't actually know how to write yet. You'll get to see the progression in their handwriting throughout the summer. Add a picture of them, draw a picture of them, let them draw a picture of themselves. This is their project and their treasure to keep forever. So here you'll see the beginning of the top of the journal page. In the top area, you'll see my name is, what, who, when, where. I think that it's really important to include this information. So when you're coming back to talk about it next week, when your child is sharing their summer journal at school next year, when your child gets to go visit their grandma, they can bring their journal, and you can, or whoever it is talking to them about their journal, can ask them questions. And these little bits of information will help you know how to engage with your child. Also, having the date will be really important, just to be able to remember when you did this. To make creating the journal entry a really enriching language opportunity with your child, it's important to make sure they're involved in the process of making the pages. Your child can do lots of important things here. They can pick which picture they want to include. They can glue the pictures while also talking to you about what they see and what they remember. They can arrange the pictures in sequence. If you took pictures of a baking activity, they can tell you the sequence, which is a really important skill to work on. They can color your beautiful stick figure drawings. They can write their name, anything to be involved in the process. This is not your homework, parents. This is a creation to do with your child. You can also put the journal in a really accessible place for your kiddo and encourage them to share that journal with other family members. So then I'm going to scroll to the bottom of the journal page, and this is your homework. You'll see there's different squares: listening and spoken language strategies that we used, vocabulary we used, auditory skills we used, and academics we used. Hopefully, this is a place that parents can reflect on the activity, both the activity when it was happening and then also even when they were creating the journal entry together. Hopefully this area will help you identify all the incredible, wonderful things you are already doing that support your child in their listening and spoken language journey. You may also notice that maybe you haven't written anything in one of the boxes for a while. If this is the case, I would encourage you to go back, visit that section in the informational pages, and see what you can do about carrying that on in activities with your child or their daily routines. And then we get to see beautiful, wonderful, homemade examples of journal pages from children and families, along with the parent reflections that they made throughout the activities. You'll see this is so fun. You can see the different ways to make journal pages. Some of them include real pictures or drawings of the pictures. Others include Band-Aids or a real sucker that they got from the doctor office. You'll see real life swimming notes from a swim teacher that a family glued in. This was a really neat Crayola experience that the family glued in. Pictures from a book, a real grocery list, and a picture of a child. A drawing of the child's waterproof processor and them wearing it at the pool. The kids can also include stickers. They can include Ziploc bags full of shells and sand, menus, movie tickets, whatever you and your child decide will be enriching to later look at together. This journal is going to help your child tell the story of their summer. Oh, also a child glued in real life Rubik's Cubes. So the options are endless. I want you to also see this is available in Spanish as well. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So I can look at all of you again. Thank you so much for being here to learn about the Talking About Summer notebook. I've spent 2 years creating it, and it's an honor to share it with all of you. Here I am getting kind of emotional. It's really, I think, a powerful tool, and one that I hope shows parents what they are so good at already. And I hope that it gives them pride in what they're doing. You'll be able to find this at the website Here to Learn, HEARTOLEARN, and Erica just posted that put that in the chat box, and you'll be able to find it to download for free in English and Spanish. Now it's your turn. We'd love to hear from all of you, families and professionals alike, about all the different resources that parents can use over the summer. If you have ideas to share, please feel free to unmute yourself so that you can talk to the group, or you can use the chat box, which is the little speech bubble at the top right of the screen. Also, if you're looking for any specific types of resources, please ask. This is the group to ask. Your turn.
Hi, Miss Eleanor. This is Erin Stillwell here, I guess, and Kendall as well. Hello. Congratulations. I hope everybody can hear me. Kendall, I'm going to show them something. All right, so sorry, guys. I wanted to share and expand on Eleanor's notebook. We have, I guess, we talked about how it was the old school version of the summer notebook from Miss Stephanie last year. And what I found last year doing this notebook with Kendall, it went from her first year with Stephanie in the summer into her second year with Stephanie. And we, discussed the strategies that we were going to use with Kendall, and she gave me all of the information I needed and all of the tools to work on those goals with Kendall at home. And what's so great about these notebooks is that you are given the tools to help these kiddos at home. And I am a teacher as well, but I am not a teacher of the deaf, and I do not know everything that I should know and how to teach her at home. So these are all just great strategies to use. The ones we were using: wait time, self-talk, auditory sandwich. And the great thing about these notebooks, you can add to it. It's something you can look back and say, I forgot, how did this really work well for us? Even, using money and play money in her cash register, getting feedback from teachers. Everything is right here. The strategies we used, wait time, answering questions. And I also want to add into it, Kendall spends a lot of time with both sets of grandparents, and being able to share this information with family members on how to best teach her, it really helps. And this is just an example of them creating a, I guess, body outline with blocks. And they use self-talk and answering questions. Strategies we've worked on with Stephanie moving forward during distance learning, sabotage and expansion. I feel that I had more success with those because I knew how to implement strategies. So thank you, Eleanor, for putting this all together and expanding on this. This is great work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Erin.
So we love journaling at Desert Voices. This is Ginger. I'm a toddler room teacher at Desert Voices, and we've been talking about journaling for years and kind of learning together, and it's just incredible to see this notebook come out that we can pass on to families in Spanish and English. But as I talk to different families and how they use journaling at home, it's cool that toddlers are just starting to create. And so whether it's creating a page or if you're creating a play based on your events, some families are going more digital and they're taking pictures of their events and they store it on their phones and they go back and revisit, or kind of sharing it to their TV screens and revisiting events there and acting them out is another way that they're talking about journaling and creating. And then I love to ask them how they're going to go back and revisit, which is what you get to do with a journal, because little bitties don't have the ability to store those memories in the same way where mature memories develop closer to age 7. So even this week, when I was getting to talk about implicit versus explicit memories, as I was reading and learning, early on, you're building up the worms and fuzzies in your implicit memory. And then as you get to age 7, 6, 7, 8, you start to build memories that look more like an adult. And so kind of in journaling early on, you're creating these memories that they cannot create for themselves. And by putting it in, you're also teaching the language of like the who, the what, the when, the where, and over time revisiting as their language builds and builds and builds. Like you're not just using 2-word phrases, you're using simple sentences. You go back and you build, and you're using prepositional phrases, and then you're using compound sentences, and then you're using compound complex sentences. And it's a real narrative and like story that you're building instead of just this like piled up list of details. So Eleanor, thank you so much for putting this together that we can share with families.
Does anyone have any questions for Eleanor or any of the teachers or other families here about the kinds of resources they've been using in the last couple of months, or any maybe roadblocks they've run into that we can maybe try and sort of work together and figure out how to help? If you do, go ahead and put those questions in chat or just unmute yourself and ask.
I was going to share a resource too that I use during my online learning with my parents, and it is a Teachers Pay Teachers store, but it also is a blog, and they have an Instagram too and a Facebook page, and it's called Listening Fun, and I'll put the link in the chat box. But there's lots of free resources, and there's preschool age, but it also goes into elementary and middle school too. So I know we have parents of alumni students here, and they also have paid resources too. She is the woman who runs the store is a teacher of the deaf, and so it is geared towards teachers, but in the summertime, you guys and during online learning are the teachers. So I think it has a lot of fun resources. It even has posters, little books, critical element, language books, just kind of everything. So I'll post that in the chat too.
Hey, Maya.
Thanks, Audrey.
So there was a question
in
the chat box about what is sabotage. So it is one of our listening and spoken language strategies that they're all to create opportunities for our kiddos to talk. This one's kind of a fun one. Sometimes the name is challenging for people because it kind of sounds mean, but it's not mean. You either are saying, so you're getting dressed with, you're helping your child dress, and you say, okay, it's time to put your shoes on your head. And then you give the expectant look and wait and see if that child, after 7 to 10 seconds of wait time, can come back with, not on my head, or not my head, you know. So it's creating those silly opportunities. Also, maybe you're helping them get cereal for breakfast and you, oops, accidentally pour some milk on the table, and then you don't do anything about it until milk. Oh, you're right. We need to clean up or wipe the milk. So you're just creating more. You're manipulating the circumstances or conversation to encourage your child to talk. Great question. And another question a parent had. Yeah, we've seen a lot of, for some of the parents, it's been kind of tricky with that word sabotage. So if anyone has a word they like to use other than sabotage, I would love to hear it. I usually say it, the word sabotage, and then quickly follow up with, it's creating opportunities to talk. It's being silly. Yeah, Maggie said it's playing silly. Absolutely. And I think that I see a few different links to more information about other listening and spoken language strategies. If I was creating this notebook right now, I might have included a different set or a few different ones because of the needs of my families now versus the needs of my families when I started this notebook. So it's, and I hope it's a ever changing resource for you. You're adding to it. You're finding maybe even going into a different school. You can share this with them. You can take this and say, you know, I've realized that my child needs a little more time when she's going to hear you. She has to process it, think about what she's going to say, and then create the words to say it in the midst of a busy classroom. And so sometimes she might need a little more wait time. Here's some information. You can send that notebook home, bring it back. I'm looking in the chat box, and Here to Learn is one of the wonderful resources for deaf education and listening and spoken language. They have tutorial videos of how to change hearing aid tubes, how to put in hearing aids, how to change batteries, what to expect at the audiologist. I also see Audrey put up the post for Listening Fun. Vroom.org is an app that sends Ginger. I've never used it.
So Vroom will send you, if you send a sign up, they'll send you either a text or an email, and you put in your child's age, and they'll send you the science-based why you should do an activity, as well as fun activities ideas on a weekly basis.
Thank you, Ginger. Oh, Kendall said that Listening Fun also has really easy strategies, really clear strategies and with quick explanations. And Jamie said that the John Tracy Clinic's online learning for parents is a really great tool. They have classes from birth to preschool. Toddler and preschool classes are mainly content without videos, but do provide information relevant to the age group and their journey at this stage. I really love the birth to 2 classes because they are great videos that explain strategies or other topics that have discussed, that you may have discussed with other professionals, or it's a good tool for visual learners. There's also a Facebook group that was created kind of in the nick of time, or maybe because of virtual learning. Jen, do you want to share about that, or do you want me to?
Yes. Hi, this is Jen. I'm also a teacher at Desert Voices. I was actually unmuting my mic to talk about it, but giving you time to talk first. So the Facebook group is called DHH Preschool Learning at Home, and it's for both educators and families are also educators, so that actually works out beautifully. It has a lot of great ideas to contribute to children's education and language experiences at home. It was created actually in mid-March, so it's still kind of a newer group. It already has over 1,000 members. One of my favorite things about it, if you check it out, is if you go to albums in the group, there are language challenges, and I think they have like over 60 of them, and they're just quick little pictures of a few words in there. Helpful ideas to promote language skills during a variety of daily activities, such as having snack, doing laundry, playing with Play-Doh. And yes, I will put the link in the chat for that one. And I was actually going to mention another resource that I really liked. It's called Mommy and Me Milestones. There's an account on Instagram, there's a Facebook, there's a website. I'll also add that in. But this one was created by a pediatric speech pathologist to support parents in just engaging their kiddos and, again, creating those moments, just working on language. There's lots of posts on Instagram. If you're on there, I highly recommend following it if you want good little tidbits of information. But they have lots of things about language, behavior, play. So it really addresses the whole child on that one. It's not just focused on language, which is really nice. So I'll add both of those into the chat.
And I'm going to say something about the DHH Preschool Learning at Home. They have both listening and spoken language and American Sign Language resources, information, organizations, webinars, things like that. And I also wanted to share something I just learned about. There's a mother of a child who has cochlear implants named Saha Reazi. And she wrote and illustrated the most beautiful book called My Cochlear Implants. And it talks about we're all different. Grandpa has white hair. Grandma has lines on her hands. My dad wears glasses. We're all different. I wear cochlear implants. We're all different. And that's amazing. And you can either order her book on Amazon, or you can download it for free. She has an Instagram, which is at My Cochlear Implants. Or you can find her, I'll write her name in the chat, on Facebook. And she's also started doing these beautiful sequence verb flashcards. Each day she creates a sequence of them. And all of the children have hearing aids or cochlear implants or maybe bone conductors. And she's just a lovely person as well. And she's another mother who said, yeah, my child has hearing loss, and created this book to represent her child. Does anyone else have anything to share? Let me see. Oh, also, there's a website here, Say LW. That's Lynn Wood's page, and it's an excellent resource. And then also, Book Creator, you can create experience stories, which are just so important for children. It's similar to what you might be creating in the journal. And you can use it directly on the computer. It doesn't require an app, which is nice because some things only require apps. And I think that you can just upload the picture straight to the Book Creator and create an experience story for your child. Does anyone, are you seeking any specific information, whether it's resources and local organizations? We might or might not have the answers, but we're happy to brainstorm with you.
Eleanor, for any other parents that are out there, if you have ideas of things that you've tried with your kids over the summer that you loved and you just want to share an idea or celebrate, it's always fun to hear what you're doing. Even if it feels little, that could be a really big thing to another family to hear it and try it.
Just to piggyback off of what Ginger said, if you're not ready to share kind of what you are planning to work on over the summer, the link that Kendall just shared for Hearing First, they do have a parent community, and it's not just limited to parents. It's anyone that is someone that is, pretty active in their niece and nephew's life or a grandchild's life, and so you can join the family community, and there are lots of discussions boards on there for you to get different ideas, and that does primarily focus on listening and spoken language. So there is definitely going to be a lot of ideas from around the nation, and you can definitely check that out there. Or if you are a professional, they do have the professional community as well.
Also on Here to Learn, if you go to the projects, I will make sure this is where it is. We can put a link to it. There's another project that someone made last year about embedding listening and spoken language into everyday activities with things like, I think there's like 36 different activities, including laundry and going and eating dinner and setting the table, getting dressed. And it has information about listening strategy you might use, vocabulary, more things like that.
Hi, this is Emily Lindley. Hi. I just wanted to share that the public libraries are doing curbside pickup. So you can reserve and put on hold lots and lots of books. They are also doing like these great early reader bundles that when you go pick up your books, they'll say, do you want us to just add some extra books for you that we pick based on your child's reading level? And they're also giving away seeds now too. We've got seeds today. But I read in a book this summer, the book is called The Gift of Failure by Jessica Leahy. And she said for struggling readers or kids that aren't interested in reading, which I just thought is good for any kids in general, but when you have a kid that's interested in something specific, like my girls right now are interested in mermaids and fairies, she said just go get everything you can find that they want to read about mermaids and fairies. So we don't have the Amazon budget for that, and I was frustrated because the libraries were closed. But now that I know I can go to the library and put those things on hold, we have 15 books on libraries and 15 books on mermaids and fairies now, and I feel like that's a great way to expose the kids to language and also in a different form. So I just think it's fun to be able to have an abundance of books and just kind of inundate them with the topic that they love, but seeing it in a different form. So libraries are open for pickup. So put books on hold and go grab those goodies.
Emily, can you tell us the name of the book that you learned that from?
Sure. The book is called The Gift of Failure,
Okay.
and the author is Jessica Leahy. It was a really fascinating book. I highly recommend it for teachers and parents.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Emily, a few years ago, there was a mom whose older son, who didn't have a hearing loss, was struggling with reading, and she was struggling through surrounding him in comic books, and it was the hook that helped, just comic books. So it was good to hear you say that again.
And also you can go to page something in my notebook to learn about embedding listening strategies, vocabulary, listening, language, academics while reading books. Thank you, Kendall, for that reminder.
And I know real books are everyone's favorite, especially mine. But if you can't get to the library, I don't know what their hours are. I don't know if they're restricted. But if it is more difficult, the library does have ebooks that you can loan out as well. Again, not as quite good as the real thing, but still access to books, access to literature. So that's another way you could kind of use your library to get more books for kids, for you. They have not the same amount, obviously, that they have in real print, but they do have a nice variety.
And singing songs with your child does everything. It builds speech skills, it builds language skills, auditory skills, engagement, social emotional skills. Keep singing songs. Connection, it builds connection.
And you don't even have to sing songs that already exist. Actually, our own Eleanor, who gave the presentation, is a master at making up songs on the spot about anything that we're talking about in school. So, you know, feel free to just make up a tune, pick out a tune. Kiddos love singing. So not only does it do all of those things, they really, really love it. And, you know, it's a nice, fun, playful way to engage with them. So don't feel like you have to stick to only the classics. Feel free to make your own songs, make your own family songs, and learn something new.
I learned in grad school that's called piggyback songs. I've been doing it all of my teaching, but recently learned piggyback songs. And Tracy just said on the chat that Baby Beats it's a free app from AB, Advanced Bionics, I believe. And it's another great resource for music and little ones' auditory skills. They have videos of Ginger. What do they have videos of?
So Baby Beats takes it and it breaks it up into different categories. And because AB cared and had the resources to do it, they had scientists and neurologists and musicians all work together, and they did it through a music hierarchy. So they start out with just the simplest music, and then they build the music to make it more complex. And so if you follow through in their curriculum, it doesn't let a child get overwhelmed by classical music because they're just starting with something simple. And the idea behind Baby Beats is that they encourage you to take those rhythms and put play to it. And so whenever you're really working on repetition and saying something over and over again, when you pair it to music, you have that opportunity. And then you're also building in anticipation, because once they know the rhythm and what you're going to say, then whenever you pause, they get to fill it in. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you, Ginger.
I have a question. My son, Cameron's dad and I are in conflict because he's struggling academically with some stuff, and he doesn't like to read, and I think he just gets discouraged. Well, he doesn't know how to read. He knows some sight words, and we're trying to teach him, but his dad will try to make him continue to sound out words, and I think it's making Cameron like not want to read. And so so we're constantly arguing, so I don't know if should we just be reading to him? So I'm just telling him, let's just read to him, because I was talking with Dr. Flynn and she was saying, you know, since Cameron was diagnosed late, just get all those words into his brain. And so if he doesn't have that in his brain, he's not going to be able to know what those words are to read. So I don't know if I don't have any stance saying hey, just take a step back a little bit and stop making him sound it all out. You're discouraging him. Or do we keep doing that? And then also, I don't know if we should be reading him some of those books My Name is Bob and I Go Fly. I feel like I know he and I don't want to keep reading him those books, but I don't know if that's better for his development, because I'm thinking, well, I'd rather read in books that are teaching him something about reptiles, or just, so I don't know what to do in that regard. I know that's kind of a lot of questions, but I just don't know what to do with that.
Hi, Amanda, this is Stephanie.
Hi.
So before we get started, I want to preface this by saying I had Cameron in school last year, right? And one of the first things about books is before you can teach with a book, you have to build a love of books and make it a fun place for him to learn, right? And Cameron, I know I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know what you are comfortable with sharing, but when he was at Desert Voices, he was assessed by his new school, right? And they came up with a possible diagnosis for what was going on. Do you remember that conversation?
Oh yeah, I'm comfortable with sharing everything. Yeah.
Okay, are you okay with me sharing that then?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so for those other teachers who are here, I believe, and you correct me if it's changed at all, Amanda, that he was thought of to be pre-dyslexic or sort of flagged for having dyslexia. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there's reading in general. So dyslexia in general makes reading difficult. It makes it hard to pair a visual letter with a sound. So there are, and I'm not an expert on dyslexia by any means, but a lot of research shows that they don't learn reading the way a typical child does. They need movement added in. They need music added in. It needs to be much more of a rounded, I guess, reading experience, for lack of a better term. And there are lots of sort of curricula that professionals who work with kids with dyslexia use to foster that reading knowledge, because it's hard for them to pair a physical letter, like a print letter, with the actual sound it makes. They use music, they use dancing, they use, I can't remember what the word is called, but lots of different almost tactile ways of getting the information in, because the typical just looking at it through your eyes isn't how Cameron learns. So I was just emailed about a particular curricula, what's the singular, that I can put in the chat that I've heard about that you can look into. I just have to look through my email for it. If anybody else has ideas also, I know Ginger said phonemic awareness, and that's a big thing. So phonemic awareness it's a pre-reading skill. So before you can even learn to attach print to sounds, you need to be able to hear. So phonemic awareness is all about the listening. So it's things like rhyming, it's things like separating words into different sounds, not even looking at letters or words, just learning all the different sort of the musical pieces to words and how they fit together. If anybody else has ideas on reading and stuff for kids with those needs, go ahead. I'm going to look for this curriculum.
Amanda, what you said though, on like any time that he's feeling frustrated, that you guys are feeling frustrated, first and foremost, like in our brains, you cannot learn if you're feeling like you're under threat. And I know it sounds silly sometimes for us to think of our kids ever being under threat when we're sitting there loving on them, trying to build them up, but they so read our cues and our emotion. My daughter's learning isn't always the easiest, and so we constantly get to take a step and evaluate and see, like, are we all breathing? Are we all having fun? Are we encouraging her and being playful? And anytime that we're not, it's time to pause. And she's the first to say, now, pause, pause, pause. And then the other part that I would say, there's a reading specialist on the screen with us tonight, and if she's comfortable and would step in and talk to it at all about like just the hierarchy of things. Imagine if you're trying to learn math and somebody's asking you to multiply before you have your number awareness and addition and subtraction and all of that. Like, to jump into that next step is only going to make it frustrating. And so between the phonemic awareness skills, where you build a foundation and you build that, and the strength that you get on that, you build on something else and you build on that. And then whenever you're putting sounds together and you're building that up and you really understand that, just like when you're playing with sounds, you can take sounds away and put them in there and substitute something else. Like, you have to learn that flexibility and that manipulation with letters and seeing that. And if you're not building up those steps and getting it mastered, like to where you feel good about it, then stepping on that next step is just going to fall flat. So yes, read to him, read to him, read to him, play with sounds. If you don't have a phonemic awareness thing that you love, there's a guy that I do love, and different people have different opinions, but I love his work because he tells you what to do and what step to do next. And I appreciate anytime anybody can lay it out and say, this is the step to do. So I'll look that up and stick it on there too, Amanda.
Amanda,
Thank you so much.
my mom's a reading specialist, and she's on here, and she wrote that he can listen to you sound out the words. So I think, Mama, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, if you're reading, say it's sun, sun, and so you are physically showing him how to do it, but there's no expectation on him at that moment that he has to be the one to sound it out. He can see you doing it. I did not have the easiest time learning to read, and these types of observations of seeing my parents do things like that. Also, my mom said multisensory experiences, which is what Farber was talking about, using your body, using creating acrostics, using in my mind, they're tricks, but they work. And they're not tricks, they're based in research. But multisensory, and then letting him see you, even you pointing to the words while you read them, using an index card to hide any of the other words. There's been a few, Aaron Stillwell linked Reading Rockets, the top 10 resources for dyslexia. Reading Rockets is an incredible resource, you guys. There's every single thing ever that you might want to learn about reading on that, with videos, with informational handouts, articles. And so I would definitely look that up. And then there's been a few other links that we'll put into the resource list. Stephanie wrote LIPS, LIPS program. That focuses on phonemes and phonemic awareness. My mom said that Ginger was exactly right. He doesn't have to do it. With parents reading, it takes the pressure off of him. It's modeling. And guys, one of the little strategies, especially, all the time, but especially earlier, is modeling and talking out loud. And he was late identified with hearing loss. And so I think the modeling would be really helpful. And Jamie gave a few resources that she found on Hearing First. And maybe my mom can let us know if it's a good one. childrenofthecode.org is another suggestion. And the one that Ginger was talking about that has it lays out every single thing for you. And it has body motions. You're chopping words in half. You're moving your body. So that multisensory, it's Michael Hegarty. Raz Kids, Khan Academy. Children of the Code also discusses the emotional impact on learning difficulties. So that might be a really powerful resource to look into.
Amanda, are you guys in the Valley still?
Yes.
So those Michael Hegarty books are at school, and I'm sure if you wanted to borrow one, you could call Jamie or Kristen or someone and say that you need to rent it for the summer.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I know they did tests. I know this meeting isn't about Cameron, but it's just Desert Voices is so good that he went into. Now they're saying that he may not have dyslexia. It's just because of his hearing impairment. So we're just trying to figure it all out.
And you have a really great group of people right here in Agville, Arizona, and whoever else is here to figure it out with us.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Absolutely. We're glad you're you're here and that you opened up.
Well, and Amanda, he's got the greatest resource, which is you, and that you care and you're, you know, there for him. So I know it's not an easy journey as a mom. Especially being home all the time has been extra challenging recently, but just feel good that you are doing the absolute best you can, and he is loved, and he's gonna read in time. I know it. I'm confident.
Thank you. Thanks for all those resources.
I wrote it in the chat, Amanda, but he loves superheroes, and Eleanor, I think, had mentioned using comic books. That might be a really fun way to get him to just enjoy the idea of playing with books and not necessarily be driven to sound things out, and just kind of working in like basic ideas of books and early literacy and just how to use a book and how to enjoy them to kind of build up the interest in it first.
Thank you.
We are running at about an hour in, so if anybody else has any questions, now would be the time to unmute yourself and ask, or type them in the chat. If after a minute or so we still haven't, no one else would like to share, we will close things up. Okay, everyone, we are going to start closing up. First of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined, to Eleanor for sharing her resource, everyone else who put in all of their ideas and spoke up to share or ask questions. There was a lot of information shared. So like I mentioned earlier, we have recorded the session. We will have a transcript from the captioner with everything that was spoken, and we will also be compiling a list of resources that everybody put in the chat for you. Those will be going out via AG Bell Arizona's listserv, which again, Erica, if you could post that link in the chat one more time so everybody can put their emails on the listserv. You will get all of the resources there. You can also go on our Facebook page. They'll be posted there too once they're ready. Thank you again, everyone, and have a good rest of your night.
Thank you for being here, everybody.
Thank you, Eleanor, and congratulations on your accomplishment with school.
Thank you. You all of you helped me do it too. I mean it. Thanks for being here, everybody.